Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Mixed Media Reviews. My name is Kelsey and today I'll be talking about a movie. This week's movie is Lovehard, a Christmas movie on Netflix, which I realize is a little bit late, but that's okay. I also know that I have been absent for quite a while. I was moving, which gave me very little time to do pretty much anything else, and then once we got settled, I went right back into wedding mode. I finally got married in October, and then I just kind of had to take a break. I don't know if you know this, but planning a wedding is kind of a lot. Having a wedding is a lot. Making most of the decorations yourself is a lot. So I just kind of needed a break after that. And then it was the holidays. But now it's a new year, and I'm ready to jump right back in. I forgot to mention in my intro when I recorded it that I had previously mentioned a special guest in the next episode. This is not that episode, as that one was never recorded, but we will hopefully revisit that because I thought it'd be really fun, and I hope I can still do it. But in the meantime, we'll have a few more different episodes before that. And now I'm going to go back to the previously recorded stuff. Bye! Like most things I've discussed, I did not know much prior to watching Lovehard. I had seen it pop up on the top of Netflix a few times while navigating to other selections, and I recognized Nina Dobrev and Jimmy O Yang and figured, what the heck? I had nothing better to do. For this week's episode, I'll try to remain fairly general. There may be some spoilers, but nothing too big or specific about the events. Lovehard is about a woman named Natalie, played by Nina Dobrev, who I think that's how you pronounce her name, and she writes a column based on all the terrible dates she has, until she swipes left. Is it left? Right? Whatever is the yes direction, on a man named Josh Lynn, who is played by Jimmy O Yang. They get to know each other over the phone, with her being in LA and him being in Lake Placid, New York. He's all the way across the country, so they haven't met yet. But she believes he's the perfect man, so she decides to fly to Lake Placid to surprise him for Christmas. When she gets to his house, Josh is not the only one who is surprised. Natalie discovers Josh used someone else's picture, and he is not who he appears to be. Surprisingly, I actually really enjoyed most of this movie. It's a pretty cute, Hallmark-esque Christmas movie with pretty decent writing, acting, and story. It's fairly cliched, and I'm pretty sure every person who watched this movie knew exactly what was going to happen next, but these types of movies can be the perfect choice for putting on the TV when you just want to relax and not really think too much. I think my favorite scene in this entire movie is the one where they rewrite the lyrics to Baby It's Cold Outside. Natalie sings the woman's part and Josh comes up with new lyrics to his part. I really loved it. It was cute, funny, and most importantly, it didn't allude to any assault or harassment, which really should be the standard to all the Christmas songs. Hopefully this version begins to take off and we hear it playing on the speakers in department stores while we shop for gifts and drink hot cocoa, instead of the other version. I was a bit hesitant with the storyline I knew would be playing out for pretty much of the movie, that she'd end up falling for the guy that catfished her. I thought it was going to be really weird that she ends up falling for a guy who just lied to her the entire time they'd been talking. But I did like how they ended up revealing his side of the story. Why he did it, what he was trying to accomplish. That made him a much more redeemable character for me. One you could even possibly root for in the end. I also appreciated when Natalie kind of calls him out on his original reasoning, explaining the real reason he wasn't getting matches to begin with. While I didn't get it until literally the final scene when it finally clicked, I liked the title of the movie. It definitely made me go, oh, that's cute. Which is what you want from a movie title, I guess. And probably people more clever than me got it much earlier. And also, Die Hard is certainly a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas, therefore it's a Christmas movie. Sure, it didn't release around the holidays, but that doesn't matter. Because what is Christmas about? If not saving an office full of people, including a loved one, from terrorists. And while it has been a while since I've seen Die Hard, I'm pretty sure that's the gist of it. The entire cast for Lovehard was great, and I thought they all did a great job. Along with Nina Dobrev and Jimmy O Yang, it also had Harry Shum Jr. think that's how you say his name, from Glee. James Sato, from a ton of different movies and shows, including another Netflix holiday original, Dash and Lily, Always Be My Maybe, which was a very cute movie, an episode of my favorite Sherlock adaptation, Elementary, he was in that, and one of the worst Marvel adaptations, Iron Fist. And it had Darren Barnett, who was in yet another Netflix original, Never Have I Ever, which I absolutely loved and you should check out if you haven't already. This was also produced by Mick G, who produced great stuff like The OC, Chuck, Supernatural, and The Duff, so that's definitely a plus. There were a few things that I didn't like about this movie. It was pretty annoying that the main character, Natalie, is upset that Josh used a different picture, but then pretends to be a completely different person to get a date with the guy that the picture was used of, if that makes sense. So she's okay with catfishing as long as she's the one who's doing it. I don't get it. I mean, I get that in the beginning of relationships, people may try to be the best version of themselves or maybe even exaggerate their interest in some things. But this wasn't just a little bit different. She was pretending to be someone completely different. She does get called out on it somewhat, and maybe that's the whole point, to show that all kinds of people are capable of lying to get what they want. Or maybe that is just to show that her and Josh aren't that different. I don't know. I feel like they could have not had that storyline and still come to the same conclusion, that they weren't right for each other. Like, she could have just been herself and with each date realize that there's nothing between them besides the initial attraction. And then you wouldn't have been almost rooting against her the entire movie. Natalie's boss didn't really make sense to me. I think he was meant to play the cold-hearted boss turned soft by Christmas magic character, but I didn't really see it. I guess I didn't understand their dynamic in pretty much every scene they were in together. And then the last scene they're in together, he's suddenly the friend that has sage advice. I don't know. Something about it just always seemed off to me. I can't really put my finger on why, since many evil bosses can become warm and give sage advice, but this iteration just didn't really do it for me. Felt kind of flat. I'm also unsure why they pretended Natalie and Josh were related. They could have easily just said a friend, or a friend of the family, or a coworker, like literally anything else, but instead, in a small town, they tell the guy she's interested in that the guy she's fake dating is his cousin? Did they think that he'd never find out? It's such a weird choice. And it still would have played the same if they weren't related. Having the confusion of the whole, wait, she's with him? I thought I was with her. It could still be a big plot point, but they wouldn't have to have the weird cousin thing. I just don't get that. I am sure that there are plenty of other things to criticize in this movie, but honestly it was just a nice, fun watch that wasn't something I took too seriously to begin with. So it ended up being much better than I expected, which is always kind of nice. If you're looking for a cute Christmas movie in January, then I definitely say check it out. It's a predictable plot and has fairly decent acting, so go for it. Overall, I think it was a pretty decent movie with some cute moments, some cringy ones, and even some humor. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Love Hard. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Mixed Media Reviews. You can also find me anywhere you find your podcasts, as long as that is Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, or Radio Public. Please join me next week where I review a book, They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye!